Hi, today we are going to finish up with our 6.5 notes. These examples and questions are the last couple slides of your 6.5 notes that are already in Schoology. And basically what we're going to be doing today is how we can rewrite a logarithm in a different base or as a natural log. So for instance, if you had log base 7 of 15 and wanted to rewrite it as a log base 10 or a log base 5 or a natural log, how we could actually do that. And basically it's just a simple formula. It's called the change of base formula. And basically if you look at how it works, you're just changing from one base to the other. So if you start with log, let's look at this one, log base C of A equals log base B of A over log base B of C. That would be, for instance, if you had log base, if you had log base 7 of 15 and you wanted to change that to log base 5, okay? Basically what that would look like is you would use this formula right here. So we are starting with log base 7 of 15 and we want to change that to log base 5. All we would have to do is rewrite it as log base 5 of 15 over log base 5 of 7. If you notice, in our base stays in the bottom and the number we are taking the log of stays in the top. And just to be clear, if you put either of these into your calculator, if I use my calculator and I did log base 7 of 15, I would get the same answer as a decimal as if I put log base 5 of 15 divided by log base 5 of 7. Again, a lot of this section is just rewriting the numbers or rewriting your logs in different ways, expanding them, condensing them, changing their base. So let's look at a couple of examples here. Up in the top, the directions tell us change to base 10. Well, currently number 14 here is in base 3. If we want to change it to base 10, all we're going to do, log base 3 of 17 would be log, we could write the base 10, but we don't have to, of 17 over log of 3. And when you're doing these, just making sure you're closing your parentheses before you hit division or before you actually, on your calculator, before you actually hit enter to know what the answer actually is. And you can try it both ways. Log base 3 of 17 and log of 17 divided by log of 3, both of them are 2.579. Okay, and we're just going to change all of these to log base 10. On the next slide, we'll change them to some different bases so you can see how that works also. So if we start with log base 9 of 294, that's equivalent to log of 294 divided by the log of 9. In your calculator, you would get 2.588. And again, if you notice the directions on the bottom always say to round 3 places past the decimal. Looking at the next one, we have log base 7 of 4/9. We are still going to follow those same basic rules. Even though it's a fraction, we'll worry about expanding that fraction in just a second. So we have log base 7 of 4/9. And again, we're just going to change it to log base 10. So we're going to take log base 7. Well, we're taking the log of 4/9, or excuse me, it's not going to be a base, sorry, it's not going to be base 10 because we're changing it to base 10 here. So we're going to have log of 4/9, because that's what we're taking the log of, divided by the log of 7. Well, the other day we learned that 7 should not be down there, it should be the log of 7. Okay. The other day we learned that when you have 4 divided by 9, you should expand that out, and when you have division, that means subtraction, so you'd have log of 4 minus log of 9. That's just taking that 4/9 and expanding it like we did the other day, divided by the log of 7. And when you put that into your calculator, again, making sure we're closing our parentheses before we hit division, and after all of what we're taking the log of, we should get negative 0.417. And then question 17 here is basically the exact same idea. We have log base 6 of 1/10. We're going to change it to base 10. So we're going to have log of 1/10. That's what we're taking the log of, divided by the log of 6. Again, that 1/10 should be broken apart or expanded into the log of 1 minus the log of 10 over the log of 6. And again, making sure we close out all of our parentheses and everything, we should get negative 1.285. And here we're just changing it to different bases this time. So the first one says change to base 7 and evaluate. Well, number 9 currently is base 5. So if I want to change it to base 7, I'm going to have the same basic idea when I change it to base 10, except my base is now going to be 7. So if I started at base 5, log base 5 of 8, and I wanted to change it to base 7, because that's what it says to do here, I'm going to change it to base 7. So I'd have log base 7 of 8 divided by log base 7 of 5. And again, making sure we close all our parentheses in the calculator, we should end up at 1.292. Okay, number 10, again, we're just going to change it to base 7. We could change it to any base we want, but we're going to choose base 7 just as an example. If I change it to base 7, that'd be log base 7 of 14 over log base 7 of 8, and we would get 1.269. You need to go ahead and pause the video, look at it, practice putting it into your calculator a couple times. And just to point out, either way you put it into your calculator, if you get log base 8 of 14 and hit enter, you'll get 1.269. If you do log base 7 of 14 divided by log base 7 of 8, you would still get 1.269. We're just writing it a little bit differently. Okay, and this time we're going to change it to a natural log. Again, natural log is just a log base E, and we call that natural log ln. So if we had the natural log base 26 of, or excuse me, it started out as the log base 26 of 9, and I wanted to change it to a natural log, I would write that as the natural log of 9 divided by the natural log of 26. And if we put that into our calculator, we should get 0.674. The natural log base 12 of, or excuse me, the log base 12 of 30. If I wanted to change that and rewrite it as a natural log, that would be the natural log of 30 divided by the natural log of 12. And if we put that into our calculator, we would get 1.369. Hopefully that helps, and this should help you finish up the rest of your homework from 6.5.